This Smittybilt Gen2 X2O 12,000-pound winch with synthetic rope and wireless remote is for those of you that have a 1987 and up Wrangler and are looking for a very well-built, strong, and waterproof winch. There are a lot of winches out on the market, but a lot of them are not going to be waterproof. This one is specifically engineered so that both the body of the winch and the solenoid pack are going to be IP67 waterproof rated. As with most winches, this is going to install pretty easily onto your Jeep. I do give it a 1 out of 3 wrenches. There's going to be, of course, a little bit of wiring to do, but it's really just making 2 connections up at the battery and only 4 bolts to get this attached onto your winch plate or winch ready bumper. So again, very simple, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. So when you're picking a winch, there are a couple of big decisions to make. One is the pulling capacity and the other is the type of line. So this is a 12,000-pound winch. The general rule of thumb for how much pulling capacity you need is that your winch should be able to pull 1.5 times of the trail loaded weight of your Jeep. So loaded down with all the gear, with all the armor, you should be able to pull 1.5 times that weight. So this being a 12,000-pound winch, if you have a big, heavy 4-door JK, lots of armor, you like to get it buried up to the axles in mud, go with a winch that has some heavy-duty pulling capacity like this one. If you have a lighter 2-door, maybe you don't do a lot of mud, you're more getting high-centered, you might not need the same pulling capacity, and you can go with something a little bit lighter. That's also going to save you a little bit of money. Now the next decision you have to make is about the rope. This one comes with a synthetic rope, which is going to be a little bit more expensive than your more traditional steel line. Both are going to be very, very strong. The main difference is that the rope, the synthetic rope, does not store energy. So while it still stretches when it's under load, it doesn't store that energy. So if it breaks, it falls harmlessly to the ground. If a steel cable breaks, it is going to slingshot one direction or the other, can cause damage and can cause injury. So you have to be a little bit more careful with it. A steel line, however, is going to be a little bit more maintenance free for you on the front of the Jeep. You don't have to replace it quite as often. You don't have to keep it quite as clean for it to continue to work really well for you. On the flip side of that, again, the synthetic line is going to not kink up like a steel line will. It's not going to give you the same splinters that a steel line will, and it's going to be a lot lighter weight when you're dragging it up those muddy hills trying to make a recovery. So definitely pros and cons to each. The synthetic line, if you have the budget for it, is definitely the way to go in my opinion, if for no other reason than the safety that you get from this versus that steel cable. One of the other really nice features about this winch that you're going to get is the fact that this is a wireless remote. So that allows you to stay clear of the danger zone when you are winching. Overall, because of all the features, because of the synthetic line, the fact that it's wireless, the fact that it's waterproof, this is going to be one of the more expensive winches on the market. But if you have the budget for it and you're looking for these features, I think it's a great option. So going through the construction of this winch, you have the main body of the winch here, and like I said before, this is going to be sealed up. It is going to be completely waterproof. It's going to have some internal bracing that's going to make it very, very strong. Of course, you have your clutch handle here to allow you to go from the engage mode into the free spool mode and easily spool the line out to go ahead and connect it up to whatever you're winching from. We already talked through the synthetic line that's going to come with this winch. Over here is your solenoid box that has brackets to allow you to mount it right up top here, or you can really mount it wherever you like. And again, this is going to be completely waterproof as well. Now, this does have a switch on the side of it, and it also has a plug for your remote, so you do want to be able to have access to it. Now, you might be thinking, thought it was a wireless remote, why do you need to plug it in? Well, you actually have the option to go wired or wireless. So this is going to be your remote, plugs into the wire, but you can just unplug the wire and use it completely wirelessly. So if your batteries go bad, if you forget to throw a set in there, you always have your wire as a backup, but you can unplug. Like I said, you can stand clear of the danger area. You can go ahead and check your rigging. You can winch from inside the Jeep without having to worry about the remote line getting tangled up on anything. It does definitely give you a little bit of additional flexibility, and that is a feature that's being added more and more onto some very well-built winches. Getting any winch installed is going to be a pretty simple 1 out of 3 wrenches. You're going to need either a winch-ready bumper or a winch plate on a non-winch-ready bumper in order to bolt this up and make sure you're going to have the strength to actually be able to winch from it. So once you have that, there are really just 4 bolts that are going to bolt the body of the winch into place. You're also going to get your fairlead that you'll mount onto your fairlead mount. You'll have to wire up the winch before you can spool the rope in, which really just entails mounting your solenoid box most likely up on top of the winch here, wiring it directly to the body of the winch and also making the connections up to the battery. And then you can plug your remote in, attach your line, and spool it in. Like I said, this is something that is going to be an easy install, probably won't take you really more than an hour to do. It may seem a little daunting at first. There are a couple different pieces, there's electronics involved, but it's really just a connection at the battery, 4 bolts, and you're done. This winch is gonna come in at right around $650, and I do think it's gonna be worth it because you get a ton of features. It's a 12,000 pound point capacity winch. It's waterproof, has the synthetic line, has the wireless remote. It really has a lot of the features that you could look for in a winch. Now, there are some that have additional features. I mean, you can get a winch that has an air compressor built into it. Of course, that's gonna be more expensive. But for what you're getting, I do think the $650 price tag is appropriate. So if you're looking for a winch with a high pulling capacity and a lot of bells and whistles, I definitely recommend taking a look at this one from Smittybilt, and you can find it right here at ExtremeTerrain.com.